Hi, and welcome to Teletalk. I'm Liv.
And I'm Ben.
And on this episode, you'll hear our carefully considered and not at all random thoughts on a show we like. There will be spoilers.
We're giving ourselves an age rating of 15 and above, but you're welcome to make up your own mind. Listener discretion is advised.
And if you are enjoying our podcast, please do rate, review and subscribe. And thank you again to everyone who has already done that.
And if you want to get in contact with us to give us any thoughts, feedback or recommendations or requests, you can contact us on our socials. We're at TeletalkPod on Blue Sky and Facebook. And our email address is teletalkpod@outlook.com.
So this episode, we are back to Armchair Experting, Married at First Sight Australia, Season 12, Episode 24. This is dinner party number 5.
And my God, it's all gone mad.
Yes, in a whole different way from what we've had before.
Yeah, it always goes mad, but at least it was sort of predictably mad. And now I'm like, what's going on? Everyone seems to have completely Uno reverse carded.
Yes, well, it also means that our episode is going to be slightly different because normally we go through couple by couple and we talk about their issues. And this time we have this inter-couple argument, but mainly between the wives. So we're going to sort of save that to a bit later on, but when we get there, it's going to feel a bit different from normal.
It's a battle royale, 3 couples going at it in the fight to the death.
Thank you, yes.
Not to the death. But...
No, but that is quite dramatic and it kind of mirrors the drama that we saw in the episode.
Yeah, it was something. Mm-hmm. And I'm not sure I like it.
I found it a lot. Like watching that and just hearing shouting and arguing, I found it too much for me.
There was no good guy.
It's just hard. Anyway, we'll get there.
Speaking of no good guy, let's start with Lauren and Clint.
Oh dear.
I feel vindicated because I haven't really liked Lauren from the off and I feel like I'm fully vindicated.
Yes, so the argument that we've talked about is following on from what's happened at the retreat. So we obviously haven't seen that. You guys know this by now. We've obviously seen the clips that are at the beginning of this episode. And as a consequence, Lauren and Clint decide to have their own dinner party at their apartment. They are not going to the group thing.
They are wussing out a treat.
Yeah.
And it's just so childish and petty and cringy.
And Lauren calls Jamie a troll, which I really didn't like.
A little troll.
Oh, it made me so sad to hear that.
And from what we see, that isn't the first time that she's called her it. She's called her it at the retreat as well. And the vibe I'm getting from Lauren is like condescending and feeling superior and really rude.
Yeah.
And it's that encapsulated in one phrase.
And you know what? Maybe this is partly what Elliot got from her in those first 3 days of their marriage. And he bailed.
It's astonishing to me that we are at this point, so however many weeks in, and just going, maybe that Elliot wasn't so bad.
But it really highlights the power of the edit because the producers did not allow us to see this side of Lauren until now.
Yeah, it really is. But I feel like there's been little hints of it poking out, and I've gone, just the way she carries herself. She's had the massive benefit of the victim position.
Yes.
And now you start to see her actually have the space to show her full, approach to things. Maybe there are no good people here.
Well, it's a shame because Clint seems to feel that he's getting good vibes and he sees a spark with Lauren, and she's the opposite. She puts it back down to friends. There's no spark. They're not talking about this with each other. They're talking about this to the camera, to us as the audience. So I don't think they each know.
No, it's one of those where I think he has hope and she is like, yeah, I'm done. But because she's isolating herself and him from the group, he's a convenient co-conspirator almost.
Well, then he keeps her on the show, but I just honestly think she's wasting his time.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And it's just that little things like when she's asked, like, do you think you're better than people? She's like, I think we're better than some people. I'm like, ugh.
Well, from the clip that we see at the end of the commitment ceremony, I think she's going to get brought up on this.
I have no faith.
Yeah.
I think they might just be like, so how did you feel about that? Yeah, I can see how that would work. Anyway, are you both staying? And then they'll just pick some random person that was perfectly fine. They'll be like, Ree, you were outrageous. Let's go in on you.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Bad example, but let's carry on.
Well, I mean, yeah, I know the phrase mean girls got thrown around a lot in this
episode,
and I'd like to point out I used that some weeks ago, so go me, unless you cut it out, I can't remember. But let the record show that I used it. But I think the most appropriate mean girls thing is about Lauren. She has a real mean girls kind of Regina George looking down her nose attitude to people, and I think that is where the mean girls reference is the most applicable.
Yeah, I mean, we could talk all day about Lauren's behaviour, I think, but let's move on to TJ and Beth.
I still like them.
Yeah. Now, Beth comes to this and she's quite hurt by Ryan, and she calls him up on it straight away. She asks for an apology and gets one, and then she seemingly moves on happily.
Yeah, she calls him out one-on-one, more or less. Well, sort of 1v2.
Yeah.
With Jackie there. Because, looming like a
Interesting,
spectre.
because actually TJ wasn't there to support her, because it was meant to be a one-on-one conversation, but Jackie definitely inserts herself.
Jackie inserts herself is basically her... I think that's her middle names.
Yeah, we've said this of her before, haven't we?
Yeah, it's really interesting, but I like her integrity.
Yes.
Like Beth, I mean, not Jackie.
Yeah.
Beth is like, I've got this problem. This doesn't need to be a big thing at the dinner table. It doesn't need to be in front of everyone. I'm just going to go to Ryan, knowing he's going to immediately fold, because that's what Ryan does. And I'm going to call him out. We have a little back and forth, and Ryan caves.
Yeah.
And then Jackie kind of looms in at the end and adds her a particular layer of madness to it. But that's what this show needs, but also what the producers don't want.
Yes, it was a good demonstration of excellent communication, but there was no drama.
Yeah, it has no place on this show, and I no doubt that now signals that the producers are going to go after TJ and Beth, because they need to be punished for their, humanness.
Yeah, but I also think, in credit to Ryan, he did deal with it quite well, because he could have doubled down, and he did defend his position, but he also acknowledged that he'd hurt her, and he did apologise. So I think it was great all round.
And it is genuinely hard to have that sort of level of maturity and effective communication with Jackie literally perched over his shoulder.
Like a parrot.
I was going to say like a vulture, but yeah. But yeah, I just wrote down, he backs down immediately, lol.
Okay.
But yeah, I thought it was really mad the way Jackie, at the end, Ryan and Beth have sort of settled it. She leans in and says, I forgive you too. Apropos of nothing. She's had nothing to... It's like she's got to be involved in some way.
Well, I remember at this point going, what did she say? And you were like, she said, I forgive you too. I was like, who does she forgive? What? Like, I was so confused.
Yeah, and I was like, don't worry about it. It's Jackie doing Jackie things.
Yeah.
I enjoyed Beth's response, which was spectacular. Just like, what? Very much the audience proxy of like, what? All right. But she didn't sort of challenge her too much.
Yeah.
It was said in a way that she could just move on and get as far away from the glitter bomb relationship that they are, as we said. But yeah, that's kind of fascinating and a nice little microcosm of Jackie and Ryan. But we don't get much more, I don't think.
Well, I think it's an interesting contrast, as I've hinted that Jackie and Ryan did that together, even though it was meant to be Ryan and Beth having a conversation. And you could say, oh, that shows unitedness and togetherness and so on. But actually, seeing TJ and Beth going, no, I've got this. She didn't need TJ. I have every faith that if things had started to get heated, he would have been there. But he let her deal with her thing.
And that's fine of you to say, Liv, but Jackie will counter that by pointing out that she and Ryan are in fact the strongest couple because of all the hardship they faced.
Yeah, well, should we just move on to Jackie and Ryan now?
Yeah. They think Jackie thinks they're super strong, and I was just like, have you met Rhea and Jeff? Like, you guys aren't strong. You're the most deluded.
But
maybe.
I find this in general with couples that analyse themselves and determine that they are the strongest is that it's often a delusion. And we see this a lot in Love Island and other shows like that, where the people that don't mention how strong they are the strong ones.
Are you trying to say that there is some merit in the phrase, "me think they do protest too much"?
Absolutely. Yes.
I didn't really see much else from Jackie and Ryan in this episode. They did that.
Yeah.
And it just sort of reaffirms that thing of like, maybe there's some hope for Ryan in and of himself. Jackie, I feel like, is giving more and more indication that she might be the chaotic X factor in this dynamic duo. And perhaps there might be some potential for growth with Ryan in the future. I'm not sure Jackie so much.
Well, as you say, we don't see very much of them this episode, so...
Disappointing.
Yeah, well, yeah, for you. I know
for me.
You said they're your favourite couple now.
I'm going to go with, it was a comedy cameo that I could have done with more of.
Right. Interesting stance.
I'm just embracing it at this point. What I'm not embracing are Athena and Adrian.
Yeah.
It says a lot that I'm disappointed that they've had a good week. I'm like, really?
She says that they are both glad that they stayed, and he says that neither of them particularly meant to write stay, and they both sort of regretted it, but they're glad that they did.
Wonderfully diminishing.
Yeah, and I just thought, this is hard to watch. This is... it's a train wreck.
Yeah.
I don't believe them. I think that's the trouble I'm having, I'm not believing what they're presenting to us.
My perception from everything we've seen, and I'm going to be honest, bringing in some assumptions based on experiences, I suspect that what's happened is he has been less shitty than normal, and she's gone, he's better now. And obviously there's a lot more other drama.
Yeah.
And they aren't the main drama. No. And so, I mean, to be fair, Adrian declares that he's been a great partner. He literally says that. And I'm like, I'm just going to say, I'm not sure I agree with that, Adrian. I don't think you've been great or good.
Was he referring to just this past week or the whole time?
It's Adrian. Who knows? I suspect he meant in life.
Right.
He's a great partner. He's really stepped up to this relationship compared to his previous ones. And so, give him props for effort.
Well, I suppose to be fair to him, that being the case, he's probably most improved, right?
I mean, I hear what you're saying, but I can't. No. No, Jackie, most improved.
Is she, though?
Yeah.
Okay.
She hasn't torpedoed anyone's relationship at this dinner party.
Right. So but that's most improved within this group. I'm talking about, for Adrian, most improved across his dating career.
Oh, right, I see. Sorry, yes. Yeah. I was going to say, because, Jackie has gone a whole week without making someone else's wedding about herself.
Yeah.
So
it helps that there are no more weddings.
Gold star. But one thing I did still notice, if we're looking at power linguistics and body language and stuff like that, when Adrian goes off on his waxing lyrical about how great everything is and how wonderful he is, etc., 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 Athena still looks miserable as shit.
She's not a happy soul.
No, I think it's one of those things where she's desperately willing this relationship to work, but she knows that it's not. That's what I hope. I'm projecting a lot on this. I'm willing this. If I manifest it, things will work out right. I'm stepping up again for my heart to be broken.
Yeah. Well, I'm loving your optimism, though.
Yay.
Shall we dive into the big argument?
Ding, 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 showdown. Time for today's main event.
So this involves Jamie from Jamie and Dave, Karina from Karina and Paul, and Ree from Ree and Jeff.
Yeah, there's not a lot of the men involved at all, apart from Dave wades in a bit.
And it's interesting, actually, because we had a lot of drama from Paul and Karina last dinner party and commitment ceremony, and this time we get nothing, no updates on that, because it's all about this drama that happened at the retreat and that gets brought into the dinner party.
It's all about Jamie biting heads off left, right, centre and everywhere around.
Well, we're getting the impression that Lauren was being mean at the retreat.
To everyone.
To everyone. Jamie retaliated from her perspective on behalf of everyone. And then she sees her perspective is that Karina and Ree did not check on her and how she was doing, but they did go and check on Lauren, who storms off.
And it seems like when there was a fireside confrontation amongst the whole group and things got very heated, no one stepped in to back up Lauren by her perception. And in fact, some people said, you do need to calm down a bit. I can see why they're upset. And she took umbrage at that.
Well, I think her biggest issue is that they didn't go and check on her afterwards. Because she says, I know I'm a strong person, but that doesn't mean I don't get hurt. So I think in that moment she could almost deal with being told to calm down, but it's that no one went and goes, are you okay?
I think it was equally on both of those, because she makes a big point, like when she's very emotional in her talking head, of saying, like, it's great when I'm fighting on your behalf, but as soon as I'm fighting on my own behalf against someone else, you're not interested in supporting me. And so she gets very upset about this whole thing of, like, you know, I'm loud, I'm aggressive, and people are fine with that when it's serving them, but then they desert me when it's not.
Yeah, and I hear that, I do, but I also think that had they just gone and checked on her, because she's aware that not everyone is confrontational and that expecting that in that situation is unfair, but I think what she did expect was to be checked in on.
Yeah, and she is primed and ready to go, this thing. It's like, it's a whole, like, pallor over the whole evening. Like, they're the last couple to come in, Jamie and Dave, and everyone else is sort of prepping and discussing, and as soon as they walk in the door, everyone takes a massive drink of their drink.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, it's a showdown, but it's a tangible, almost like wet blanket over the whole thing. Not a wet blanket, it's like a tinderbox and a spark ready to go.
Yeah, and it's a shame because, as the experts point out, Lauren is at the centre of all of this, and she is not present.
I'm not going to lie, as much as I think she was cowardly, I kind of go, you probably did the right thing, Lauren, for your own personal benefit of not being there. Just let them explode at each other, because Jamie is ready to blast someone, and it would have been Lauren, but as she's not there, someone else is getting it.
Now, we see a lot about, because Jamie goes for Karina first.
Yeah.
And this does not go well, because what Jamie wants is an apology, and what Karina does is defend her behaviours. And I felt that this was a shame, because Jamie brought a lot of anger rather than sadness and hurt. And I think had she brought the sadness and hurt, I think other people would have been able to understand her more, especially Karina. And I think Karina's point, while valid, was just winding Jamie up more.
Yeah.
And it was fueling itself.
It was quite interesting, because Jamie sort of starts it off by sort of making some snide, sarcastic comments. And it's sort of like, I interpreted it as her as going, right, I am upset specifically at you two, putting the lure out and going, one of you is going to bite on this and I'm going to engage with you first. Karina takes that bait and engages, and she is the first one to go, gets absolutely blasted with the full force of the anger, which allows Ree to go, I think I can probably adjust my approach here.
Well, I thought that too, and then actually I reflected on the last dinner party where Ree was involved in drama with Jackie. Jackie was coming at her, and she gave a similar apology, like, I'm sorry that hurt you. And that's what she does again here. So I don't think it's necessarily that she saw Karina doing it badly, but that she's already learnt how to diffuse these really highly charged situations.
I think that when it comes down to it, this is a really complicated one, because I don't think any of the three women involved here in this particular argument are in the wrong.
This is the trouble.
I suppose it's one of these ones where none of them are in the wrong, but they are all sort of also in the wrong. They're all perfectly valid in how they're feeling. They probably could all have dealt with it a bit better broadly in the first instance and here. Like, Jamie is, I believe, dealing with this very poorly. Like, very aggressive, very angry, very confrontational, and I think there could be a more constructive way of dealing with that. But at the same time, I think probably there could have been more empathy and more camaraderie amongst the three of them in that original argument with Lauren.
So I've made myself a little flowchart to help me process this, but it might be useful here.
Let's have a crack at it in this non-visual medium.
So, the first thing is that Jamie feels let down and unsupported.
True.
Those are feelings beneath the anger. The anger comes first, but these things are what is the crux of her issue.
She's hiding them under her angry rock.
Yes.
Good.
Then we have Karina and Ree,
Yep.
who both, in the moment, felt overwhelmed
Yep.
at the retreat, and so they didn't stand up. And that hurt Jamie, as
Yep.
you've said. But that's their feeling of being overwhelmed in a confrontational situation.
Okay.
And they all want Lauren to take accountability for her role in causing this.
Which is not going to happen.
Yeah. Then we also have the fact that in that situation, Ree and Karina went to go and check on Lauren, who ostensibly caused the issue.
Yep.
But they did not go and check on Jamie, who was defending herself in that situation.
Which, to be fair, if Jamie was able to take a more calm step back, she might have perceived as, actually, they know I'm going to be okay.
Except her point is that she's not okay.
But maybe that's a consequence of the exterior that she puts out to people.
I think if she was able to be calmer, let that anger subside, and to feel those deeper feelings of being unsupported and let down, and to share that with them, I think she would have got what she wanted, which was that apology.
Yeah.
I think if she'd have been able to say, I was so hurt and distraught that you didn't come and check on me afterwards, and my perception is that you did do that for Lauren.
Yeah.
I think that's it. I think that's as simple as it is, but these bigger, more destructive emotions have been layered on top.
Yeah. She threw her anger rock at Karina.
Yeah, and Ree, but Ree was able to sort of break it into smaller pieces and...
It had already been slightly broken apart by with Karina's face. What are the odds that in the next episode, the commitment ceremony, the experts don't touch on any of that and they just go to Jamie, you shouldn't be so shouty and don't point your finger at people.
Yeah, she said something as well, didn't she? What was it that she
Shut
said?
your
that was
mouth.
Yeah. Yeah, very harsh words.
Yeah. I mean, we've heard worse.
Yeah. And we hear Jamie saying, I don't care a lot, but she really does care.
Yeah, the very fact that you're shouting, I don't care at a dinner party suggests that you do.
Yeah.
Basically, it's a shit show. Everyone gets shouted at. And the output is that Jamie is no longer friends with Karina, but she is still friends with Ree.
Yes, because Ree does find a way to apologise to Jamie, and Jamie accepts that from her.
I guess in the real world, everyone would have just ghosted everyone else until feelings calmed down a bit.
Maybe. I don't think that's the case for every friendship group. I think people do have it out at times.
But it seems like the default for everyone was to ghost her until they got to this dinner party. So that was one of the things she was also upset at, that neither of them messaged her to say, you're right, babe.
Yeah.
It's a lot harder to throw an anger rock over text. I'm making this a thing.
Okay. I quite like your anger rock idea.
Thank you.
But I think that's it. I think that's what happened, and I think there's a lot of upset emotional feelings involved in all of these wives, and I really, really hope that the experts can help them navigate this and navigate them back to a friendship.
I love your optimism. Like you like my optimism about Jackie.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love your optimism that the experts are going to do anything of worth.
I do feel let down by the experts recently, but I just want them to be able to fix this for these women.
And they're not going to, but Karina calls it one big kerfuffle. And I appreciate that. I love the word kerfuffle.
Me too.
And I think it's important to illustrate that the poll suggested that 73% of the audience were on Jamie's side of her requiring an apology. Whether it was in the way that it was done is another question. But yeah, people broadly on the viewing seem to be on Jamie's side.
Well, that's interesting because the audience who are voting in that poll will have seen what happened. They will have seen what these women are talking about, whereas we, of course, are going by the odd clip and trying to just work it out from what they're now saying.
Yeah. What I think was also interesting is obviously we've seen this massive kerfuffle, as we say, where Jamie has blasted anyone that sticks their head over the parapet. And Veronica goes, I gotta get me some of that.
Oh, yeah.
And she goes, do you know what? I'm gonna poke that hornet's nest some more. I reckon that'll be fun. And I don't think it works out the way that she hopes it will. Because she goes, do you know what? This is out of order. I'm going to stand up to the raging bull that is Jamie. And it's interesting because Elliot, I think, tries to be a voice of reason in it and tries to calm everything down. And I'm like, wow, he is really on the redemption train
Yeah, I'm
here.
really liking Elliot right now.
Yeah, Veronica not so much. Because she sort of goes at Jamie and sort of says, "That's not okay, like, Lauren's got feelings too, etc." And I'm like, oh, it's just a choice.
Well, she is right.
She is
Let's
right.
not be dismissive of that.
I would say, remember that discretion is the better part of valour. And maybe not interject, because what happens then is you've got Elliot going, why is my current wife defending my ex-wife? Which is a question that you don't often get to ask.
No, but it does bring about a very interesting revelation for him.
Revelation!
Which is that he finds out that Veronica has spoken with Lauren about their marriage.
Yeah, because Jamie, in an Adrian-esque move, goes, dropping a bomb on you, now you two fight.
Yes. Yeah.
And whereas I hated it before, this time I enjoyed it.
Because
I'm a
we like
hypocrite.
Jamie.
Yeah, and Elliot.
And Elliot. Poor Elliot. He is heartbroken to hear this.
Because, interestingly, we've seen from snippets of previews at the end of previous episodes that we've watched that at some point Lauren and Veronica have sat down and Lauren has absolutely character assassinated Elliot. And I found it fascinating that Elliot had no idea this had happened.
Yeah.
Veronica has not mentioned it.
Yeah.
And it suddenly comes out, and like you said, he is heartbroken.
Yeah.
He's betrayed.
And she doesn't get it.
No, of course she doesn't.
Again, she's dismissive of his feelings, and she's like, well, why wouldn't I, though?
Empathy. I'm the main character. You other people are non-player characters. The more I see of her, the more I dislike her.
I know.
Maybe they should just form an ex-wives club where they go and hang out. She could go to the other dinner party with Clint and Lauren. But yeah, it was just terrible. And then she tries to double down and goes, yeah, she didn't say anything mean about you. If anything, she was playing devil's advocate and saying you were great. Cut to all the footage of Lauren just absolutely slamming him.
Yeah, the editors did a great job with that, didn't they?
Yeah, I'll give him that. That was brilliant.
Not that he knows this.
No, but he does go, knowing Lauren as I do, that seems very unlikely.
Yeah.
I'm like, you've got it in one, sir.
Yeah, yeah.
She is petty AF, and she continued to be then. And it's just like, there's no authenticity in Veronica there, and no accountability, just lying.
I had such high hopes for her when we first met her at that dinner party, and they're all gone now. They're all gone. And I just feel sorry for Elliot.
Yeah, he's been blindsided again.
Yeah.
And I just wrote down it and underlined it. Well, that went well. So that was pretty epic. And what a way to end it. Just Jamie destroying people left, right and centre.
Well, it was argument after argument, wasn't it? Because this ended up being an argument between Elliot and Veronica. We've had the big one that took up most of the episode. And we started off with Beth and Ryan. I know that argument was diffused very quickly and didn't escalate, but it's still, oh my gosh, it's a lot for an audience to watch.
Well, it just illustrates, doesn't it? If you're going to come for the Queen, you best not miss. But, like, I don't like confrontation, so this is a weird show for me.
Yeah.
But this was, like, confrontation with a capital conf.
Okay, you could have just said a capital C.
No, there's no fun there.
Okay. It makes more sense, though.
No,
Yeah, it does.
I stand by what I said. But that being said, I have some mixed feelings on the episode. How did you rate it?
Okay, so I actually have forgotten to rate it, so I'm going to do it now.
Live
rating.
Dun 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 dun.
I'm going to go for 5 out of 10 because the drama was fun, but it was also difficult to watch and hard to process. So I'm on the fence and I'm going halfway.
Okay, that's interesting because I've rated it 3 anger rocks out of 7.
Now, you have an interesting thing because there is no halfway out of 7, so you've had to either go above or below that halfway point.
You see, what you're pointing out there is the wonderful benefits of my scoring
Yeah,
system.
yeah,
You
yeah.
can't just half-arse it and go, this is the middle of the road. You've got to go, no, it's one way or the other. So yeah, it was decent, but not above average. It was below average because I found it very uncomfortable. I don't think it was constructive. I don't think anyone came out of it well, apart from maybe Elliot, as default. There wasn't enough Jackie and Ryan for me. Let's be honest, Jackie.
Yeah.
She's terrifying and I don't want her near me, but she brings comedy gold.
Yeah.
And she didn't bring it enough. She did what she could. Bless her.
With the time that she had.
With the time that she was in memoriam. She's fine. But yeah, I think it sets us up hopefully for an interesting, although almost certainly disappointing, commitment ceremony next time.
Watch this space, I guess.
Watch this scary space. And on that note, that is all, folks.
If you have the time, we would really appreciate it if you could rate and review the podcast. It really does mean a lot to us. Thank you for listening. Bye.
Toodles!